Hello guys, and welcome to another replay analysis brought to you by me, ViBE. And today we're going to be doing some replay analysis in the Diamond 3 range in a Zerg versus Zerg situation with our boy Shinryu, aka KaiKai. And this is a 28-minute game. So we're not gonna watch the shit on normal speed. This might take a little while, but we're gonna really focus probably really heavily on the opener of the game, and then we'll probably kind of speed up through the rest because then the opener kind of sets the pace for the rest of the game, anyways. Later on, it's really just about like your decision making more or less, rather than macro as much. Even though macro is always important. Anyways. So far, we have ourselves a nice 16 hatch going down. I like it. It's better than 17 hatch because if your opponent 12 pulls you, it's still good enough to be macro build, but it is really safe against early pools. I like it. I don't like this though. I've used to do this. Or you know what? I take it back. Don't give a fuck. You can do this. If you're really paranoid about early pools, this is okay. This is something I used to do myself. We'll see further how this build develops. This might actually be a roach wall off if there's going to be really delayed gas. It's not a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I've kind of gotten into the whole Ling Bane phase, though, which is like 16, 18, 17 shit again. But this is okay. It's fine. It's fine. Yo, Wade again, thank you very much for the gifted sub. Much love, dude. Yeah, no gas yet. This looks like it's going to be a roach wall off. It's totally fine. I take it back. This is totally fine. It's just a really safe, cautious build. However, gas is late now. If this is going to be a roach build, gas needs to be started right here. When the green box gets that far. At half completion of the spawning pool. You need to start your gas, otherwise it's going to be super delayed. Your gas is now delayed by probably like 10 seconds. Which is going to make a big difference here because you're hitting a timing with this. And now your timing is now already 10 seconds late. It's a big deal to start that gas at the right time. Overlord placement's fine. The only thing I can say, I think like the overall placement's fine, but the only thing I would say that I would like to see is I would like to see maybe for a moment here, this Overlord goes down and scouts just a bit further into right here. Just for a moment, and then you can go right back to right here again, just to see if he took a third here. And this Overlord does the exact same thing. It scouts like up to like right here to see if there's a hatchery right there. So you can see if he took a third or not. Because right now, if you don't know if he took a third or not, and you're just gonna leave him here the whole time, you'll figure it out eventually. But if you make, let's say hypothetically, you make a really fast spine crawler or you make lings early, it is actually a mistake if your opponent is going for a really quick third if you're going to play ultra defensive. Because you're obviously not going for ling speed right now because you've got such a delayed gas. So it's nice to know if he does have a third or not. And you can see obviously he doesn't, but we don't know that for sure. Knowing, like just kind of checking and confirming the third or not is a great idea. And I would say that what you're doing right now with your Overlords would be totally fine if you were like in Gold League or maybe Platinum. But if we're in Diamond League now, you want to get more tabs on what's going on, for sure. Because these things kind of set the pace for your build a lot more. I hope you kill this Overlord. You totally should be able to kill it. Okay, cool. Very good stuff. Whenever you see this too, if you ever see a creep spread like this, you should immediately pull your Overlord back to you. Just throwing it out there. Because if you don't, and two queens walk forward, even where it is right now, if two queens walked up to here and started shooting it, this Overlord would die. And it's really easy to avoid it from dying if you just pulled it back now a little bit. Like a perfect place to put your Overlords now would be, since he's spreading creep, would be this Overlord could go here. Like this area. This Overlord could go over here. And you could bring over a third Overlord and send it like up here. So you could see like outside of this exit, and this exit. Like all three of them would be covered by Overlord there, and there. Or up here somewhere. But yeah, not a huge deal, but it is something that's nice to do. So far though, again, it still just looks like you're doing a roach +1. Pretty standard. It's legit like the Bronze Gym build we went over, which is totally fine. So everything you've done so far, build-wise, I don't have a problem with. The only thing I would say I would like you to do is scout for thirds. Because here's another thing. Here's another tip. If we're gonna be delving a bit deeper into ZvZ, here's a tip. If you're Diamond League as well, I would love it. We're evolving the Bronze Gym build a little bit right here. Okay. If you're Diamond League and we're gonna have a little bit more capabilities here, I would say it would be amazing if you don't see a third base with your Overlord's scouts early on, and you're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make 1 egg of Zerglings, and I'm just gonna go scout. And if you scout something like this, you scout fucking spines. This guy is playing ultra defensive. Your plan with this build is eventually going to be to go into a third base. But if it looks like your opponent is going into some tech shit on 2 bases, he might be doing the same build as you, or he might be doing... Spine colors make it look like mutas, right? And it is obviously mutas. But you don't really make spines and then go roaches. That doesn't make any fucking sense. So if he's making spines, it means he probably wants to skip the ground phase altogether, and this is how he's going to try to do that. If you were to scout this and go, oh look, he's going for spines, he's going 2 base tech, I'm going to take a faster third. You could literally throw your third down a little bit faster now and not give a shit. Like, there's no downside to it. The only reason why you don't want to take your third really fast blindly against other Zergs is because if you're going to go for roaches like this and wall off, you're worried about getting all in, right, by Lings. You're worried that you're going to die if you get too crazy, that Lings will flood across the map and kill you. But a Ling flood is only really scary if he has 3 bases, because it's more larvae to work with. If this guy is still on 2 bases, especially if he's making a wall or spines, it means the Lings are going to be delayed or not going to exist at all early game. So worst case scenario, you take a third and he all-ins you anyways, and you're like, what the fuck build is this? You can just cancel it. But if you take a third, like, let's say around 40 supply, like a little bit faster. God damn, my nose, dude. Ugh. This is going to be a YouTube video as well. Sorry, YouTube. It's gross. I know. I apologize. I'm under the weather here, boys. I apologize. If you, what's it called, though? If you just take your third, you can always cancel it, and it's not a big deal. Like, it is totally cancelable. And there's only upside, no downside. Ew! I can't blow my nose, man. It sucks. Anyways, I don't want to talk about that. It's a tangent. Yeah, just judging this game so far, I would say lack of scouting means that you're not capitalizing on an advantage you totally could have. So now we're getting a move out. What's going to happen here? What I hope happens here is these roaches just walk into his base and do as much damage as possible. And you could even walk past the spine crawlers, possibly. Or you could kill them, either way. But I would say killing the drones is your overall goal. The best thing you could do here would be to walk into his mineral line and then hold position your roaches on his drones. And you just keep doing that every time he moves his drones around. And then you're going to have the best possible trade you could get. We'll see how you micro it. And behind this, I would love it if you made... Again, you have no idea, though, what he's doing. This is why I think, like, once you get to Diamond League, you do need to scout a little more. Because if you play fucking majorly blind, people in Diamond League are good enough to punish you for that. In Platinum League and below, you can get away with this. 100% you can get away with this in Platinum and below. But in Diamond League, you can't anymore. You need to have some sense of an idea what the hell's going on. Which is why I would say it would be great if you made just like 1 Zergling. Even if you're doing this build, just make 1 Zergling. To give you the idea. Because that could change the whole pace of the game. Just by sacrificing 1 drone early, suddenly you could have a third that was like a full 90 seconds faster. and now you have an extra like 8 drones sooner than you would have otherwise for your third base. You know what I mean? Like, it makes a big deal. You could have so, and then also would it would give you an idea of how you should be microing these roaches. If you actually just walked into his mineral line, you would win the game right now. He has nothing to stop you from doing that. Like, these mutas would not kill these roaches fast enough. But if you run away, that's going to be his best case scenario for him. And if you take too long to kill outside buildings, that's also going to be best case scenario for him. You should be killing drones. Okay. All said and done, you killed 21 drones. You also killed 2 queens, you also killed 3 spines, and you also killed an Evo chamber. And the broodlings that came out of the Evo chamber. Now, during this, you did not really macro very much. You made a couple of queens, you made a couple of spores. I like it. But here's honestly the way ideally you should kind of do it. If, like, let me explain this in 2 ways. I'm gonna explain this in 2 ways, and it's gonna hopefully make a lot of sense. I'll try to flow it to make a lot of sense. So this game, you scouted that he was going mutas with your first overlord that died, which means he already has them. So you're kind of making a panic reaction where you're like, oh fuck, mutas. Prepare. Meanwhile, you're attacking his base at the same time. Now, if I go back and watch, I'm going to assume when you're attacking his third base or when you're moving into his natural, you're making spore crawlers. I'm going to assume that's when you do it. It's sometime right now. Once he kills the overlord, you're going to start making spores.
Swarm forces under attack.
You're probably going to go back and make spores now. Now, here's what the problem is with this. I'm going to back it up again. Now, again, we're going to go back to the exact moment when he killed an overlord with mutas, and you go, oh fuck, I need spores. Come on. Right
Swarm forces under
now. Wait. Right now. So right now, your immediate reaction is make spores. Okay. Now watch this. 547.
Swarm forces under attack.
At 5:59, took 12. It was 12 seconds, and I understand you were you're like, oh fuck, mutas, oh god, but it took 12 seconds for your attack to continue moving from his third towards then going to his natural. That's so much time that you lost being able to get in there and kill drones. You ended up still killing 21 drones, but then on top of this, your attack also got delayed because you attacked the Evo chamber. You killed the spine crawlers. You killed another spine crawler. You killed the queens. I'm not saying killing spines and queens is a bad idea, but you have more than. But killing the Evo chamber was a bad idea. You don't need to kill it. It's such a waste of your time. But the reason why you're killing it is because this is where I hope everything's gonna flow and make sense. The reason why you're killing it is because right now you have now just gone into crisis fucking management mindset where you're like, oh fuck, mutas, Evo chamber, get rid of upgrades. Holy shit, I gotta do something here. I gotta not die to the mutas, and I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I gotta make sure I do this, and I gotta set up my fucking base and maybe move some overlords back, and I gotta kill his drones. It's so much shit all at once. It's like similar to like me doing nothing for the first 7 minutes of the game and then just being like, fuck, I gotta freak out. Like, everything happens all at once. It's just overwhelming. And if you would have just scouted with the Zergling, just one Zergling, Just one Zergling. Early on, you could have been like, okay, he's probably going mutas. Okay, I should expect that. I could do things to prepare for that. Like, you know, I could set myself up to be able to deal with this a little bit better. I could be more assertive with my time because I know what is going on. I could move my overlords back before it's all in that one moment where I got to do 15 things at once. I could do little preparations up until the point when now it's there. And then once you have now confirmed like mutas are out, then you can make the spores. But you could have done something like, it's just as simple as like literally this. Attack, move his base, and then go make spores. And you would have got so much more damage done. And then after you're done making the spores, you come back to his base, and then you further micro them. And you're like, all right, let's move in. And then once you move them in, you could be like, roaches, move here. Attack his drones. And as you have now started your command is issued, right? Instead of sitting there watching your roaches walk to the command that you're going to do, you make units out of your larva. One of the biggest mistakes most people make, like that are in lower leagues, which is why I so fucking hardcore emphasize macro, 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 is a lot of players in lower leagues like to do something like this. Okay? Watch. We'll speed it up to that point in time. They like to do shit where they stare at their army. Right now, you have issued a command just now. You just issued a command. Right now, you have... all it takes is like 2 seconds, or even just 1 second, where you could go like this. Your command card, with the way you have your hotkeys, 4SD. And then go right back to going to 1 and then use your units. But watch the command card in bottom middle.
Swarm forces under
You injected, which is good. You made a gas. You made a hydrogen. You made an evo, or I mean, you made a spore. And then you went back to using your units again. You actually, I honestly didn't know you did that. I didn't think that when you started this fight, you would have done something else, but still, you didn't do the most important thing, which is spin your larva. So right now, you were still larva capped on both your hatcheries, because this one has 3, this one has 5. So it's hurting you massively when you're larva capped like this. And if you would have just spent your drones, spent your larva on like drones, there's no way this guy is going to be able to attack you, because if you would have just scouted earlier on with a Zergling and went, okay, this guy's going for spines really early, it's like a dead giveaway that he's going mutas, especially if it's multiple spines. And if this guy's going to go if this guy's going to go 2 base muta, there is no threat of Zerglings like killing you before the mutas come out. Like, you'll easily have roaches in time while doing this build if he's going mutas and lings. Like, you're totally fine. He probably doesn't have ling speed. He doesn't even have ling speed. Because he's going spines instead. So, again, it would make you more assertive and everything. It would just make everything flow better. And there's no downside to making drones right now for you. If you would have known all of this. If you're like, this guy's going for turtly mutas. I can make 100 fucking drones and not care now. And if I just make some spores, mutas can't do anything. And if he's going spine crawler muta 2 base, it means he has a terrible economy if I have a 3 base economy. And by the time I have 3 bases fully set up and spored up and they're super defended, then I can start going back into roaches. And he still won't have any time to be able to just run me over with a ground army in this time frame. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, you could get 10 roaches out in that time after you're fully saturated and fully spored, and you'd be totally fine. The amount of production this guy has is really small. Like, it's not super good. He's banking this whole game on these mutas doing something. So, assertiveness is the big thing I'm trying to describe here. We could have been way more assertive throughout this whole process, and it could have all come down to the fact that you could have just scouted with a Zergling and went, okay, no third. He's 2 basing it, and he's got spines. What does a 2 base spine crawler defense mean? Probably means he's teching. And if he's teching, what is the threat of Zerg when they tech really fast? I would say there's only about 2 of them. One would be like a weird ass swarm host build with Nidus, and the other one would be mutas. And either one could be dealt with, no problem. Spores would, like you're doing right now, would deal with the muta. And if you went Swarmos, you could just make a few fucking Banelings and go into like...
Bleed, Bripple 100, 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 bonus 50.
Fuck yeah. Good damn puss, thank you for the bits, dude. Like, no one's gonna really go Stormos though either. It's really rare. Like, I fight that shit like one out of every 200 games. It's like one guy does it. So realistically, it's like Muta. You can assume it's gonna be Mutas. So you would have just been more prepared. And you would have definitely... Not only should you have killed more drones, is what I'm trying to say here, than 21. But you honestly, with the Mutas he has and the amount of roaches you have, not only could you possibly have killed all of his drones, but you also might have been able to kill, like, the Spire. If you, were more assertive here. But your roaches just kind of chilled a lot, for a little too long. And the other part of it is, not just the roaches, you don't really have a drone lead that much. Look at the worker count right now. This is like kind of unacceptable because you should totally have a worker lead right now, like a big one. Like your drone count right now at 7 minutes. If you would have scouted and went, okay, he's going mutas, and you would have done that attack still. That's still totally fine to do that attack. You could have fucked him up pretty bad. At this point in time right now, if you would have taken a faster third, and you would have made drones during that attack because you know that he's rushing Spinecrawler Muta and there's no chance of like this Speedling flood coming back across the map to kill you. It's impossible to do that off of 2 bases if he's going to go Spine really quick tech Muta tech. Right now your drone count should be like 56. Not 36. After doing a Roach attack like that. So you're... Like this third should already be fully saturated on minerals. And you should already have spores here. If you would have scouted a little bit in the early game to know that this is happening well before it happens. The only way you should be scared of Speedlings is if he has a third base and he's also not making spine crawlers. Like, he doesn't necessarily need a third to go Speedlings, but if he's making spines and staying on 2 bases, that is a massive tell that he's teching and he's not going for Zerglings. Why the hell would you go, you know, why would you go for mass lings and tech really hard? There's no reason. There's no need to do that. And the other thing, let's just throw the one situation out there where it's like, but ViBE, what if he did? What if this guy was going to go for mass speedlings on 2 bases and his goal was to make some spine crawlers because he wanted to go for Evo chamber upgrades and he was going to get 1/1 lings and then he was going to start getting 2/2 lings really fast. And I was like, all right, well, what if, right? What if that was his, like, super random, that's what his build was. Let's just hypothetically say that. Well, then these mutas wouldn't exist, and your roaches you just made would have won the game. Because roaches on 2 bases beat Zerglings on 2 bases. If you're both making the units at the same rate. Equal supply roaches beat the shit out of equal supply Zerglings. Especially if you have upgrades as well. Like, roaches just trade better. Equal supply. The only time lings ever beat roaches is when it's like, I have 20 supply of roaches and he has 50 supply of lings and he just got a full surround on me and I can't ever seem to get out of it. And suddenly all my roaches die. Then yeah, sure. But that's not going to happen if you're both making units at the same rate. If you're both 2 basing it. For production. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way you die to lings here. It's impossible. And you also already have a wall. So even if he did like... Even if he somehow invested it, like, let's say he has only like 10 mutas instead of like 13, or this is 14 actually, sorry. Let's say he has 10 mutas instead of 14, and instead he invested into like a +1 melee upgrade and a melee metabolic boost upgrade, and he actually made more larva into Zergling, and he didn't make spines at all or some shit. And then suddenly he does like this 20 Zergling counterattack with +1 lings. You can still defend it if you just put a queen right there. You just like put a fucking choke, put something in the choke point. And then you just have queens to transfuse the queen in the front. You just like have your queen smacking the lings and you just transfuse periodically while you then make more roaches as he's there already and you're fine. Like, he can't break you if you have a wall. It's so easy to defend against lings if you have a wall. You're just way too paranoid about what could happen, which is not happening. Which is... I gotta pause it one more time and say this. I gotta harken back one more time to what we talked about a minute ago. And it is that you're playing a game right now. This is the problem of most, like, I gotta say this a different way. This is gonna make more sense. If you're bronze to platinum, you are more than able to play blind and just do macro and you'll win most of your games. Because the purpose is to teach you macro. But as soon as you get to Diamond League, I've said this so many times, Diamond League is where like it gets like 1 step harder. You got to start microing a little bit. You got to start paying a little bit of attention to what you're doing, and you got to start scouting a little bit more. Like realistically, you got to start paying attention to what the hell's happening, because your opponents will take advantage of you by chance. They honestly might not even be trying to take advantage of you, but you might fall into it because you're not paying attention to subtle things that tell you a lot. So you need, like, if you would have just scouted early on with, like, again, like one Zergling, all of this feeling of you being like, I don't know what he could be doing, I have no fucking idea, like, it could be anything, that goes away if you just have an idea of what his build is. And 100% seeing somebody stay on 2 bases, not take a third for, like, still at this point right now, it's 7 fucking minutes, he has not even tried to take a third yet. Or sorry, no, I take that back. At like 5:30 he took a third and you killed it right away. I take it back. I remember that. He started a third after you and him were both already fully saturated on your 2 bases. That's when he started a third. So for all you know, it could have been your build as well. It could have been a Roach build, like a Roach +1 speed timing, because he took a third roughly around when you want to take a third. But if you would have scouted the front of his base as well, you would have saw there's no wall here. There's no Evo Chamber Roach Warren. And now also, here's another thing. It's not also only about what you see. It's also about what you don't see. That's also a part of scouting that a lot of people don't really think about. And if you have 2 fucking Zerglings going like, hey, bye, hey, hello, hey, how are you, bye, hey, I'm back, bye. You're just being a little fucking annoying mosquito piece of shit Zerg unit. You keep running around the front of his base and you run away. Well, if you're not getting run down by speedlings and killed, that also tells you there's a chance, a very high chance, that he doesn't have speedlings. You know what I mean? And then if you scout in a little further and go, spine crawlers, that even more confirms that he doesn't have speedlings. Like, the chances are high that speedlings don't exist right now, because he's not killing your shit with speedlings. So a lot of times when you scout something, it's not only about what you see, but it's also about what you don't see. And if you don't see lings rushing out of his base to kill your shit, there's a good chance he doesn't have lings. Because the longer he waits on lings, and if you're going roaches, the more likely he's going to lose. Okay, anyways, moving on. So again, I gotta pause one more time and just one more. I harken back again. I did say I was gonna focus really heavily on the early game of this game, because it does set the pace for this game pretty hard. And I will say, with like, if you would have just scouted a little bit, you could have prepared this build so much better at dealing with what he has, with the ways we just talked about. But even with the way you did prepare it, where you went for the roaches, you went for the third, you still could have won the game if you would have just been more assertive with making drones behind it, and also making your roaches attack faster, because you would have put him in a more crippling position. Guaranteed, instead of killing 21 drones, you could have killed like fucking 40. You could have killed all of his drones almost, if not all of them. You could have killed. It depends on how well he micros and runs away from you and moves his mutas around. But I guarantee you could have like killed a lot more than you did. You did not kill enough, for sure. You killed a lot, but it was not enough. And now you're in a position where you're like, oh my god, he's got a lot of mutas, and he's going to kill my third, which is going to give him map control, which means that because you weren't assertive with your drones, you're actually once again behind in workers, even though you're the one who killed 21. And you're now also, not only are you behind in workers, but you now no longer have map control, which because he has a muta army and you only have a roach army, which means that there's nothing stopping him from taking a third again while he kills yours. Also, don't ever use your queens to defend against mutas unless there are spores nearby. You'll always lose them every time. Like, the third's gonna die either way, and you just also donated 2 queens to let it die even fast. Like, it still died, but 2 queens got donated to die with it. It was not worth it for you. I like that you're killing his third again, but your roaches are all going to die for it now. There's no way these things get across the map. So, at this point, I will say this. You've already lost the game. I feel like watching the rest of this replay is not as important. We still will go through it kind of fast. But watching the rest of this replay is like you've already set yourself into such a shitty position. Because the only way you're going to come back in this game now, this is the only way you would be able to win here from this point. And it would be if you focus on creep spread and you also make an infestation pit out of your 2 bases. You just get some infestors going. And you literally leapfrog spores to a 3rd base and you take a 3rd. And you have spores covering your base. And you could have queen, instead of hydras, you don't lose your queens, and you have queens roaming your spore line. So if he's up here, you bring your queens up here. If he's down here, you bring your queens down here. You just try to zone him with transfuses on spores and having queen DPS help assist to shove mutas away. And if he ever overcommits and he's like, no, fuck this, I'm taking a big fight. If he ever commits with his mutas, there will get to be a point where when he has like 20 muta, he's at 18 right now. And if he hits like 20, 25, 30 muta, it starts getting kind of scary because now he can actually overpower your spores. At that point, you should have infestors. And if he dives into your spores and your queens and you fungal him, you can do some serious damage and kill a lot of his mutas if he overcommits. That's like the only chance you have of winning this game now. Creep spread, spore push, take another base, go infestors with queens. Stop making queens at like 10. You'd be fine. 10 is fine. And then you can still get upgrades and get like 6 infestors. And off of these 6 infestors, you could then make like a lurker den and just more hydras. And you could go for then also lurkers behind infestors. The reason why I would tell you to go infestors first is because he went mutas first. He didn't go mass link bane into muta. He went just straight fucking muta. So going really fast hydra is not great because you've already given away map control, and you're down in supply. You're down in everything. So this guy has the ability to always fuck your 3rd up. If you try to move out of your base, it's just you're never gonna have enough to really fight him. It's just not gonna be super efficient for you. And if this guy now transitions into banelings, he's gonna run your ass over, which is what he's doing. So if you go infestor, not only can you zone the muta, but infestors can also zone the banelings. But he's so muta heavy that infestors are a better call here right now first. That's why you would do it first, is because he's muta heavy right now. But lurkers would still be good though after you get infestors out, because it then would shut down him being able to go, I'm gonna go mass link bane now. Like he can do whatever he wants at this point. He can now go, you know what, I'm gonna switch gears and go all link bane from this point on. And this is it for my mutas. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. He could do that if he wanted to. But that takes time, right? And in the time it would take him to do that, you could defend the first wave with infestor just fine. You could have time to make infestor. But if he keeps making muta and you just make hydra, you're going to die. Because if he goes muta with a little bit of link bane, these hydras are going to get just shit on. Point is, though, you're super far behind. So no matter what you do, you're kind of in a really tough spot. And you're choosing the lurker den route. If you're going to go lurker den, the only way this makes sense is if you make a lot of fucking spore. Do you see what... This is exactly what I mean, though. Watch this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have any means to push out. The only way you take a 3rd is if you spore push and you creep push. Because this is what happens if you just move units there. You just lost a lot of hydra. And you also lost the 3rd. And, yeah. I would say that's not worth it for you. Because this is your 3rd. This is his 3rd. Trades are going to get you... Like, if you trade, or if you get overwhelmed, you're going to lose more and more and more over time. And if you're going to go for lurkers before infestors, you have a very high chance of getting overwhelmed by mutas over and over, especially if they're combined with Ling Bane. Spores need to be thrown down. Like, you need more spores than normal now. I would say you need like 6 spores per base. Like 4 spores in the base, 1 spore, 1 spore, 4 spores in the base, maybe a spore on the outside, 4 spores with like maybe 2 outer spores that give you room to work with. And you just make mass fucking drones if you're gonna go lurker, because you don't need as many hydra now if you're gonna go lurker. The way you're playing is super vulnerable to Link Bane with muta. But I will say, I feel like this is a problem again for both of you. Stargirl over here is also not really utilizing the fact that map control is important. Neither one of you is really like, you both have had map control at one point in this game, and neither one of you has actually capitalized on making an economy out of it. Because I want to back it up really quickly just for a second. I'm going to show you something. Right here. This is exactly where I want to be. This is what you denied as third base again. And you just lost your whole army. You don't have a third yet. He has an Overseer and Mutas together. He could. There's nothing stopping him from killing your creep and shoving your creep backwards so you can't push spores. It's like a push and pull process where you have to cover your spores or cover your creep. You have to cover your creep timbers with your spores and shove it forward and take your third safely. Or this guy could just kill your creep and deny that from happening. But right now, this guy, like, we already talked about how you didn't really make drones when you were attacking with the roaches and shit like that, so you weren't really far. You weren't ahead at all, even though you should have been. But now look at the drone count for him. He is ahead. But let's look at really quickly at what could happen here in this game. His main base is mining out. His natural is, you know, it's still pretty good for now. It's going to mine out probably like 3 or 4 minutes from now. His third base is just starting. If I were this guy, if I were this Muta player, I'd be like, all right, my third just got denied. We're at fucking 9 minutes. This game is really late. My main is going to start mining out here pretty soon. It already is starting to mine out in some of the patches. So I don't have a lot of time left on this base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take another drone and take a fourth base. Oh, he is. Holy fuck. I didn't even notice he was doing that. And then also, I might even want to take a fifth base pretty soon after that. Because I might not saturate it right away, but I would totally make drones up to saturate at least 3 bases at this point while I continue with mutas. I would make at least 3 base saturation. And right now we have a Zerg player with 46 drones who, what is he doing? See, this is where he's fucking up, right? He's making 6 fucking spines. Or 5 really. One of these is already done. He's making 5 spines. This, once again, falls into the realm of this guy just doesn't really know what to expect. He's unsure of things. He's like, the last thing I want to do is move out of my base and die when my mutas are out of position. But all this guy has to do, all he has to do to make that not become a reality is go like this. Mutas go like this. His mutas go like this. One muta goes this way. One muta goes this way. One muta goes this way. One muta goes that way. One meter goes that way. One meter goes that way. And then he can safely move out. Because he sees no roaches anywhere on the map. Or, he could literally make 1 fucking egg of Zerglings and leave 1 Zergling here. Leave 1 Zergling here. And leave like a changeling right there. Or he could put, how much energy does this thing have? Okay, it only has enough for 1. But you get my point. Like, there's so many things he could do that are so much cheaper and do the same fucking thing. But this guy is doing something where he's fucking his own economy up. Because he's not confident in his ability to control the map. And people do this all the time. And it's only because you don't know what to expect. You're like, I might die. I don't know what's going on. And it's because it's just a lack of scouting. There's absolutely no reason for this. Especially if he's going to start making Ling Bane. He already has Bane speed. And he should be making Lings now. And if he has Ling Bane, he'd be totally fucking fine. From a 2-base attack. Like, even if it somehow got around his mutas. Like, it shouldn't get around his mutas at all, but if it somehow did, if he was making Ling Bane and you were still going roaches, he'd be fucking fine. He could run his, worst case scenario, he runs his drones for a second, brings his mutas back, kills your entire army, and he just makes drones while it happens, and he's still ahead at the end of that. Because you're putting yourself into such a big all-in with roaches. Like, it's just too much unnecessary things. Like, for you, it was not spinning your larva at all. And for him, it's making way too many goddamn spine crawlers. Way too many spines. So it delays his economy super hard. And it also, not only that, but it also delays his timing of pushing you, which is allowing you to get away with going super exposed Hydra into Lurker. This should not work. Against a good Zerg, you would be dead. Like a better Zerg, rather. He's just allowing you to go to the next phase of the game when you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And look at the economy. This is now, what, like 2 minutes later? We're like 2 minutes further down the line here in this replay. And this dude has not made any drones since he made the spines. He's just made more spines and rotated drones around a little bit from like the main and stuff. There's so much opportunity here to just have so much of an economy lead. Like, here's probably the best way to explain what I'm trying to, the logic I'm trying to get across here. Yo, Lone Silver, thank you for the 18 months. My dude. Much love, man. Thank you for the sub. The logic I'm trying to kind of get across here is if you have map control, you should then use that map control to get a more powerful economy than your opponent. The only time that doesn't apply is if your plan while you have map control is to kill them and you're going to all-in them, which means that you should be flooding units across the map the entire time and applying pressure nonstop until they die. That's the only two things you should be doing. If you're doing something in between and you're fucking around, you're going to throw your lead away. Like every game. So if this guy has map control, and while he has map control, he still tries to contain you, but just makes a fuckload of spines. Like, and he also makes army that just sits there. He's not expanding his lead at all. He's instead, what he's doing is he's reinforcing himself. He's like basically a turtle who's like tucking himself further into his turtle shell. And why is he doing that? What he's doing? Like, you know what he's doing when he's doing that? He's taking map control and throwing it in the fucking garbage. Because what's the point of having map control now? He's not killing you with it, and he's also not taking advantages with it. He's just turtling harder. Doesn't make any fucking sense. What he's doing is he's allowing you to get back in the game because now you're making an economy and you're catching up to him. So it doesn't fucking matter. Like he's giving you the game again. Basically, is what's happening. All right, I'm gonna pause it again. I like your lurker spread at your third. I would say this. I would like it if you did this. Just move one lurker from your third, like one of these two, here, and put a spine crawler here. And this is the reason why. You are now fighting against Mutiling Bane. It's an evolved version of Mutiling Bane. At this point now, 100% yes. This guy could have any variation of Mutiling Bane. If you don't have spine plus lurker in every mineral line, this is what'll happen. If you don't have a lurker, he's just gonna run in here and he's gonna beat the shit out of everything. Like it's just gonna happen. If you do have a lurker here, he's going to run in here and he's gonna overpower the queen, and whatever's left is gonna start popping your drones left and right, which is gonna hurt a lot. So a lurker will probably eventually kill everything, but there is a good chance all your drones will die in the process. But if you have a spine crawler and you put it like between the mineral line, so it reduces surface area that can be put on it. Like if you put it right there, for instance, lings might get really stupid and come at it in a little corner formation here where they're all stuck, like they all stack up in the fucking mineral line, which not only makes the lurkers cleave better, but it makes the spine live longer because it has less surface area on it. It allows the lurker to kill shit off of something that is going to take the, like it's going to tank and soak the damage before the drones actually get attacked. And no one's going to fucking micro it. No one's going to be like, I'm going to physically focus fire every one of your drones at every base with run-bys in every location at once. Not even pro gamers do that. Like, no one physically has the time or the attention to do that because there's so much more important shit to be doing at all times. Mostly what you're looking for is you're looking for someone who's not prepared, basically. If you find someone who has a base like this where you're like, I just ran 20 lings there and 20 more lings up here, and 14 of my lings made it into this base without dying to a one lurker. And suddenly there's no spine or lurker here, so now I just killed all your fucking drones and your queen. He's not microing shit. He just told him to go there, and by chance, you weren't ready for it because you didn't prepare properly, and now you're dead. Like, now this base is just fucked. Like, you just lost a ton of drones, and you might lose the base entirely if you're super far in a position. So if you just put like one spine and a lurker per base, you're great. And then you could add in more extra static D. I don't mind that you're adding in more here at your third. But these are all spores too. So you have no spines. I would recommend one spine per base and then spores as well to deal with mutas, but one spine per base at least to deal with Ling run-bys and like one lurker. So that way when you're moving out like this, you're not going to get fucked by counterattack. He just goes in the back door and kills you.
Swarm has evolved.
Also, this is really exposed. This is risky. If this guy flew in here with like 20 mutas and an overseer, all your lurkers would be dead. But here's a tip. This is a tip for all you Zerg players out there that fight against mutas. Not only is the tip I just gave you about the one spine and lurker, like spine in the mineral line and a lurker nearby within range of it to cover your bases, but also if you're going to expand, what I want you to do is I want you to attempt to spread a creep tumor to the new base as you're going to start building it if you haven't done it already. And also build, like, if you're fighting mutas, just build like 4 fucking spore crawlers. Like, literally, you could be like, I want to make 4 extra drones here. And I'm at 20 out of 16. And then I'm going to make 4 spores all right here in a big line. And the second your base is done, uproot them and go here and root them. And best case scenario, you root them on creep when the hatchery's not even done because you have a creep tumor that is already offering you creep here. And now suddenly you can have 4 spores covering a hatchery that is not even done yet. Or at the very, very least, 4 spores come over here right away. They're walking here immediately as this hatchery is finished, and they root around it as it's done. You want to have as little time as possible to have holes in your build. And right now, this is a glaring hole in the build. If mutas flew over here and you lost 5 lurkers plus the hatchery, like if he sniped 5 lurkers with mutas and then lings and banes came over here with mutas as well after lurkers are dead, and now your hydras are like, oh shit, let's back up, let's not save that. Well, you just lose so much for no reason. And losing shit like that could lose you the game over time if you make multiple mistakes like that. It's just an opportunity for your opponent to kill you. So you want to reduce these things as much as possible. So make spores before you actually expand. If your goal is to now expand really soon. And then you can rotate them over as you're expanding. It's just safer play. Okay. So. Ooh. I want to watch how you microed that. I'll give you a tip right here. Okay, this is how you microed that. I can already tell you microed it. Watch. You're macroing, you're moving your army into enemy territory while macroing. This in itself is a bad idea. And again, it's the exact same logic I was talking about earlier with the one Zergling scouting the spines earlier and then thirds and shit like that. It'd be a great idea if you just had like an overseer or 2 overseers with your army, because for one, you're really vulnerable right now to burrowed banelings or enemy lurkers. Like if he has lurkers or burrowed banes, he can literally fuck your army in 2 seconds if you walk into a bad trap. So it's important to have an overseer with your army at all times anyways in ZvZ, especially if you're going hydras. But if you had an overseer as well, a great idea to be if you were to tell yourself, I want to attack soon. I'm going to attack in the very near future. Just shit out like 5 changelings and go like this. Like grab them all and be like, go here, shift click one of them out. Go here, shift click one out. Go here, shift click one out. Go here, shift click one out. Go here. Shift click one out. It would take you probably 4 seconds to do that. And you could do that not when you're here, but when you're here. When you're safe already. So if he attacks you, you're still behind static D. You're still fucking safe. You're good to go. And the more you do this, the faster you'll get at it. It doesn't always take like 4 seconds. If you get really quick at it, it could take you literally 1 second or maybe 2 seconds to do like 6 changelings. Because you'll get used to doing it over time. But what it'll do is you'll have a scout going this way, a scout going this way, a scout going this way, a scout going that way, a scout going this way. You'll have scouts everywhere, and you'll be like, oh, look, I found where his army is. And instead of being surprised, you'll be prepared. So best case scenario, if you found where his army was, the best way you could micro this is you could go lurkers, burrow near the ramp somewhere. Like you could burrow here, you could burrow there, whatever. Just fucking burrow your lurkers, and then you could have your hydras in a big ball, and you could tell them right now. You could just go like this: green box, move hydras there. Green box, move hydras there. Green box, move hydras there, and then green box maybe grab like 6 hydras, just like 6. Play it like fucking Terran. Just grab like 6, like 1/4 of your hydra army, and just go attack his mineral line, attack the gas drones, and you know what that's gonna do? You're gonna basically, it's like you're a fisherman. You're like just throwing your fishing line out there. You're like, come on, baby, we got a big one. Look at this big one right here. This big ass lingbane ball, and your hydras are already pre-spread, and you're not panicking to be like, oh god, micro, oh god. Like it's so much easier, and your hydras will take so much less damage from the banes because you're already spread out, and it'll make also not only that, but it'll make his lingbane really stupid because if he has 80 supply right here, okay? He has 80 supply right here. And you have like 80 supply right here, right there. But you have fucking 4 supply right here. If this supply is closer than this supply, his whole fucking army will go, let's get it! Kill this 4 supply! That's how aggro works in this game. If you have units that are closer to where his army is, they're all going to run to it, and they're going to surround it, and they're all going to like butt fuck each other while they're trying to get on the units, which is going to buy you time for your like lurkers to be like, cleave, fucking cleave, just killing everything. It's not about playing like your innovation and you're like, I'm going to have the big, or like Maru or some shit. You're like, I'm going to push on creep and then have the sickest hydra spreads as he's pushing me. That's what you see in pro games, right? But that's not what you have to do. You can pre-spread with a little bit of scouting and your fight suddenly becomes 10 times more effective. The way you should micro this, though, if you got surprised like this, I'll show you where you fucked up. So keep in mind what I just said, that's best case scenario. That's how you should do it from the start. But if you ever get in a situation like this one you're in right now, you don't have to put yourself in a situation like this. But if it happens, by the way, thank you for the sub, Trigger. Much love, man. Welcome back. If you get stuck in a situation like this where you're like, oh god, he's here, the best way to micro this is literally this. Grab all your hydras, right click, like right there. Just somewhere like right here, behind the lurkers. And as they're walking, try your best to be like, I'll grab some hydras, send them right there. Grab some hydras, send them right there. Don't keep your whole army in one. Like, if you don't micro the hydras, it's better. For the ones you're not currently selecting, it is better than grabbing all of them and having them all stutter backwards against a bunch of banelings. Because you're going to get so much more effective spreads if you just tell your shit to back up, let the lurkers do their job at first. Like you did it at first, okay? Like watch. Everything backs up. That's correct so far. But right now, as it's backing up, if we look at your command right now, you're currently selected on everything. You've probably green boxed everything and you're like, or hit 2 rather, and you said, move there. Now that's okay. But we're talking about time management while you're moving there. And while you're moving there, what are you doing? I imagine what you're doing right now is your eyes are probably bouncing back and forth like here. Okay, hydras are going there. And right here, okay, shit's dying. Here, move. Here, shit's dying. You're probably just staring at the fight, more or less. Because look at the command card. Nothing is happening. You're just staring at the fight. You're almost like a deer in headlights where you're like, I hope this goes well. Which is fine. You know, it happens to everybody. But there's so much more you could be doing. Like, because again, we'll just watch it one more time. From your unit selection process here. And then everything dies. You almost won that fight really hard. That was almost a big win. Like there was just the last banelings killed you. But look at this. Just look. Again, this is not the greatest way. There's much better ways to go about doing this. You put yourself in a bad position already, but getting out of a bad position If you were to grab your Hydras and go run away, this again right now. If I just green boxed like that and wait, walk here, and then those guys start walking down, and then as I go further back, I go like this, Hydras up here, or like these guys. Just quickly do it. You don't have to fucking be perfect and go really slow. Just go green box it. Which is, if you guys have ever wondered why, let me deviate here for just a second. If you guys have ever wondered why players like to go like, they're like 2-3-4, 2-3-4, 2-3-4, and they go like this a lot at the start of the game, it builds muscle memory at quickly building a box on your fucking mouse. Like the rolling your fingers on the keyboard is just to keep your hands warm, but doing this, it gives you muscle memory on building boxes. Like, you don't have to do it every fucking game, but if I were to tell you, hey, I want you to grab half the Hydra army, do it as quick as you can, and you're like, ugh, I got all the Banes as well. Okay, do it again. Ugh, I got 1 Hydra. Do it again. Ugh, I didn't get any this time. Do it again. I got 4 Hydras, 5 Hydras. Well, you got to work on that. You got to get a little bit more accurate with your mouse because it's fucking terrible. You should be able to quickly grab like half the Hydras. And if you can't do it, you know, it's something that develops with experience over time. But again, going back to this, best way to micro this was as quick as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just grab rough amounts. You know, you grab some Hydras, send them down. Grab some more Hydras, send them up. Your army then, this is how it would look if you did it like that. This part of your army would currently be like right there, running down. This part of your army would be right here, running up. And this part of your army in the back, you know what this would be? It would have created an opening to where this army, like, here, I want to show you guys a scene from a movie to explain this. Okay, I can't think of one. I can't think of a movie scene off the top of my head for some reason. I don't know. What I'm trying to get across here is so I'm trying to get across. Have you guys ever seen a movie where there's like werewolves or there's zombies or there's some shit, and it's like everyone's in like a room. There's like 50 people in a room, and then suddenly there's like an outbreak of something. It's like, oh shit, we all need to get away from that because things are dying over there. Let's all run to the door. And the door is fucking locked. And everyone's like, let me out. And then everyone's just dying, you know, every second that goes by, more and more. And eventually they all die. That's kind of what it's like if you don't split your Hydras up like that. And it's like the doors are locked. And then everything just fucking dies from the back to the front. But if you just spread your Hydras out, like these guys go down, these guys go up, suddenly the guys in the back aren't blocked anymore and they can continue going forward. It's like the doors are suddenly open and your guys are fanning out in the open door and they're just running away from the shit that's going to kill them more efficiently. It makes it way more efficient because you spread out. But yeah, if these were all going up, these are going down, these guys in the back suddenly aren't blocked anymore and they get to go further forward and you can do it again. As they're running away, you can spread them further again. And that's all you should be microing. You shouldn't be focus firing. You shouldn't be moving your whole army back and forth. You should just let your shit go, like grab some of it, go there, and let it just be. Let it sit there. If you get really good, you can micro it and stutter step it while you split and shit later on. But for now, all you got to do is just grab it and move it, grab it and move it, and forget about it. And just let the fight go. Because his army is going to get so spread out and it's going to get so thinned out so fast. Especially if you have lurkers here. You're going to have a great fight. Bonus question, are spread lurkers better versus Lingbane? Yeah. That's another thing that would have helped you too if you spread your lurkers out a little bit. But like I said before, you panicked here. This is like a panic engagement. You just kind of rushed it. Which is why I said scouting is so important, because this should never happen to you. You should never be the one being like the way a lot of people like to play StarCraft is they're fucking, it's like, it'd be like, turn your monitor off, okay? Everyone turn your monitor off. And now what I want you to do is I want you to hit 1 and I want you to hit A and I want you to hit click on the fucking screen. And then wait until you hear things start getting attacked and then I want you to turn your monitor back on and then fucking deal with it. And then micro. Do it. Panic. Crisis. How well can you manage? That's how a lot of people like to play StarCraft. They just don't. They're like, oh, fuck it. Let's go in the middle of fog of war. Oh, shit, this is bad. Let's fix this. And I'm dead. You know, it's not good. You should probably take an extra fucking second to scout before you move out somewhere. And then suddenly you're not having the situations where it's like, I'm going to die. You're like, oh, I'm going to pull him into a bad situation because I'm prepared now. Oh my god, I turned it off now. I'll turn it back on because we're dead. Did you turn it on? Because your army's gone. And what just happened as a result from that, okay? I actually like that this guy has now finally kind of grasped the idea. Complimenting Stargirl right now, by the way. This guy has finally grasped the idea of, or this lady. I don't have to be, it's not so sexist. I'm so sorry, guys. I keep saying guy. The name is obviously Stargirl, so it's a she. Because no one on the internet ever pretends to be the opposite sex. So Stargirl, she actually made drones this time after gaining map control again. And the reason why she gained map control is because you threw your army away. You gave her the ability to once again have map control, and she's finally used it how it's supposed to be. It's to drone. It's literally one or the other. You get to optimal saturation, or you continuously crush your opponent because you have the ability to keep them blind from where you attack. That's it. That's the only reason why. That's the only benefit of having map control. If you have map control and you just go, I'm going to be defensive. Makes no fucking sense. None at all. And also, by the way, anyone out there who's wondering, you know, if like, let's say you're the one in the middle of the map, but your opponent's army, if it pushes, will totally fucking kill you. You don't have map control. It's a false sense of reality. It's a false sense of security at that point. That does not mean map control. But these were, in this game specifically, these were very obvious map control situations because it was always after Stargirl had just killed an army. Stargirl kills an army, Stargirl plays defensive. Makes spine crawlers. Stargirl kills another army, plays defensive. Makes more spine crawlers. Doesn't make any sense. You just killed a fucking army. There's no way you're going to get attacked again right now. Make fucking drones. Make drones. Anyways. We have more Lurker. We have more Hydra. This is Diamond League, and I did advocate in I will say this. I'll say this. KaiKai. I take back what I said about the Infestors early. I forgot about Diamond League and how I said you shouldn't use Spellcasters until you're Master League, and that is kind of true. Because I forgot how impatient people are in Diamond League. People in Diamond League literally throw the game over and over and over and over. And if you go Lurker, Spore, Hydra, you have so many chances to make them throw the game away into you and just die. So I think your composition is fine. I'm not going to really harp on you on that. I think the way you use it needs to be fixed. For now. Later on, when you get higher level and you get more comfortable with this, you should use Spellcasters when you're better. But at the current level you're playing at right now, 100% you could win these kinds of games with just Hydra, Lurker, and Overseer. As long as you scout before you move. Your scouting is so under par right now. Your scouting is definitely not diamond at the moment in this game that I'm seeing. I would say your scouting is like gold league right now in this game. Like it's just like you scouted the first part of the game and then that was it. And I'm really fucking glad this happened. Because, do you remember what I said a second ago about risks and expanding? This is exactly what if you guys remember, I said this about 10 minutes ago. I said, don't ever put your Lurkers at a new base, just blindly, without having spores there, if you're going up against a Muta build. Because if you do, there's a chance Mutas will come over here first, they will wipe out your Lurkers, and then If your Hydras come over and go, oh fuck, let's go save that. If the Zerg player then brings Lings and Banelings after your Lurkers die, there's no way you defend it. And if you stay there, you lose the game. And if you just sacrifice it, you just sacrificed your Lurkers as well, which is fucking horrible. It's a huge sacrifice that didn't need to be made because you didn't make spores fast enough. So watch what happens. I'm really glad this happened because it proves my point in this exact game. So you're making spores now at the base after it's already done, and suddenly meteors show up, and now your Lurkers are all dying. And now if this guy had Ling Bane right here, does he? No, he does not. If he did, imagine if these Hydras move forward. Imagine if Ling Bane right now comes out of the Fog of War, and we have like 30 Banelings and like 60 Zerglings along with the Metos here. What would happen to these Hydras? I'm assuming it would look like this fight down here. It would just look kind of like the doors are locked and suddenly zombies are eating everyone. But your opponent's not really capitalizing on it, so you're getting lucky in these situations that he's not killing you for that.
Mineral field. A swarm of forces under attack.
But if you had if you had like 4 spores at this base when it finished, like if you just like move them to it, you build the spores as you start the base, and then suddenly you can put the spores here when the base is like not even done yet, because you built them earlier. Now the Metas don't kill your Lurkers at all, and you're no longer vulnerable to like Ling Bane attacking it after because your Lurkers won't die. Okay, so you're using Meta, or you're using Infestors. If you're ballsy enough to use Infestors, I like that. I just want to say, KaiKai, I like that. That's good. Infestors they're kind of required. Once you get to a point where your opponents are better, Infestors are going to become more and more required in situations like this. So I love that you're already trying to use them. Makes me happy. But we'll see how it goes. We'll watch you micro this. Wait, that was a missed opportunity right there too, I think. See what I mean? This is something I like to talk about again. You're doing the same thing again where you have full energy overseers. This could be 8 changelings. And you want to attack, obviously, because you're moving out on the map aggressively. You're moving into Fog of War more and more by the second. But you're doing it blind. And your opponent can see where you are because he has creep. He saw you. Watch. Come on. Hydras go up the ramp, I believe. Hey, he sees you. He fucking sees where you are. You're blind. He's not. So he's actually using the ability to scout you right now, and you're not. And right now, if this guy were to actually just fly his Metas, this is all he would have to do to beat you right now. This is all he would have to do. But luckily for you, he puts everything in one, or she puts everything in one control group. So not as powerful as it could be. But if this player were to, or actually, never mind, I take it back. The Ling Bane aren't even hotkeyed. This is legit 47 Metas and 47 Metas. This is 47 fucking Mutalisk right here. Okay. So if 47 Metas with an Overseer were to fly right here and hold position, just hold position right here, and at the exact same time, Ling Bane were to run right here. Do you want to know what would happen? She would lose probably 10 out of the 47 Metas, or something like that if your Hydras were stuck on a move. Because the Metas would be getting killed. Or not even 10, that's way excessive. Probably 5 Metas would die. And the time that these Lurkers would die, because 47 Metas would kill this in like 2 hits. 2 fucking hits and all these Lurkers, 6 Lurkers would die to 47 Metas in 2 fucking volleys. Guaranteed. And then as soon as these Lurkers are dead, because you've moved in so blindly, and they're also so stacked up, it's really easy to get them all over it. All these Lurkers die, suddenly all this Ling Bane can just run down your Hydras and kill you. And you're dead. Especially if your Hydras are not going to be running backwards off creep, because off creep means that Mutas run you down even faster. On creep means that Ling Bane runs you down faster, which is also scary. But if Hydras try to run away from mutas off creep, mutas will start popping your Hydras left and right. So you put yourself in a bad fight again. Like you should die here. But this person put their Banes on A move and they had like 30 Banelings roll into 2 lurkers. Like the mutas could have killed that either way if they were just on hold position. And they all would have died. Because the reason why hold position is important is because if you have mutas sitting over the lurkers, if I put mutas right here right now, and his hydras are shooting my muta, if my mutas are not on hold position and they're on A move instead, watch what happens to the mutas. This is A move. They fan out. They start aggroing. Like that. See how they keep getting ripped off more and more and more? It's because they're aggro. But if they held position, you take a little bit of damage on the mutas on the side. You might lose a couple, but you would kill all these lurkers because instead of your mutas spending time in the fight to fly to a new location, they're killing shit that's important right now that's going to kill the other part of your army. And all these Banes that just blew up right here suddenly don't blow up and instead chase Hydras. Not saying that Muta guy wins the fight every time, but if you would have just scouted with your Overseer, you could have made the fight way better for you. But since you didn't scout, you had everything clumped up really hard, which gave the Muta player a big advantage there. Because you're so stacked and he could just kill you easy. Alright. Now... Ah, well, that's whatever. You were defensively fungling to try to save the Infestor's life. You weren't trying to capitalize on a fungal to kill his mutas. It's whatever. The bigger part of that fight that I want to really critique you on is the opener, because you put yourself in a bad spot right away again.
Yo, ViBE gotta run now. Thanks for the free coaching. We'll be rewatching the VOD.
Yo!
Unbelievably helpful.
KaiKai!
Spend my larva. Capitalize on map control. Scout again. Send changelings into foul. Keep being awesome, man.
KaiKai! Thank you for the 25, man. It was supposed to be free! Thank you for the 25, dude. The game is pretty much over, though. Yeah, like, it's been over for a long time. He has, like, but the thing is like, it's over, but it's not over, because it should be, but both players are kind of just like, they're like making mistakes again. And you know the one you're making, which is what you just said in the donation message right there. It's really your lack of scouting. You keep putting yourself in this, like you were allowed to get in this good position, and then you lose it because you move into this bad position where you're like, oh fuck, that was a bad fight. And then you get crippled for it afterwards. And then time is allowed for you to happen again, and then it repeats itself. So, good shit, man. I hope it helped. I guess I'll just finish it really quick. I'll just go through the end of it really fast. But KaiKai, thank you very much, dude. But yeah, let's get to the end of it really quick, so I don't just end it here. If you ever see ultras, lurker, man, more lurker. If I see ultras like this, my goal now, this is my goal. This is a more advanced move, but this is required. Okay, how many mutas are there? There is 0. If your opponent has a lot of muta and is now also going ultras, we're talking like has 30 muta and like 8 lurker, like 30 muta and like 6 or 8 lurker, or goddamn, I keep saying the same fucking thing. He has like 30 muta and like 6 or 8 ultralisk. Spellcasters are required, like vipers, infestors, and lurkers. We're talking like maybe like 6 infestors, maybe like 3 vipers, and like 10 lurkers. But if there are no muta, you don't need double spellcaster. You don't really need that many spellcaster at all, if any. You could get away without having any. If you're a lower level player, you don't want to use them, it's okay. At this point, if it's just ultra, if you've managed to get rid of the muta, if you fight against ultra, your army should honestly be, you should aim for like 20 lurkers. And how many lurkers do we have right now that there are ultras out? There are 3, and there are 0 currently in production. And the 3 lurkers are actually also spread out among the bases to defend still, so they're not even going to be in the army. The reason why you want to have seriously like 20s on the definite max side, you can work with like 16, somewhere between 16 to 20 lurkers. Legit, that's how much you want. And the reason why is because any ground army, guys, any ground army that is melee based, Ultra, Ling, Bane, anything like that, it will get absolutely fucking destroyed if it engages you and you have lurkers and you burrow. Like, all of his ultras will die before they actually do anything. And it would be best if you could somehow spread out your lurkers just a tad before you burrow them. Even just a little bit. Even if you were just like, move left, move right, burrow. Just for a fucking half a second. So they're not so super clumped up. Because the reason why it's nice to spread them out a little bit is because if this guy was also using Viper and he blinding clouded you, less of your lurkers get blinding clouded. And you don't have to move as many of them. But if you just fight this with Hydra, you will lose. Pure Hydra against Lingbane Ultra is not great. But like half Hydra, half Lurker against Lingbane Ultra is amazing. It's like you lose barely anything with your Lurker Hydra against that kind of a comp. But here's the problem. If you don't make Lurkers, the Ultras will get shot in the face and they'll take a lot of the damage. Meanwhile, the Banelings will actually kill the Hydras enough to the point to where there's not enough Hydras to actually kill the Ultras anymore. And then the Ultras will clean up the remainder with the Zerglings. The Banelings are the biggest problem here, not the Ultras. The Banelings will cripple you to the point to where the Ultras will run you over. It's basically like the Banelings are like it's like a banana peel that makes you fall over, and then the Ultras is like an elephant that's currently stampeding in your direction. Like, you could easily get out of the way and deal with it, but the banana peel fucked you. And suddenly that elephant's gonna just squish you. If there's no lurkers made, watch what's gonna happen. A good chunk of his Hydras will die to the Banes, and then Ultras will clean up the rest. No problem. Is KaiKai even here anymore? No, but he did donate $25 for this, even though he wasn't supposed to. And he's gonna watch the YouTube VOD later, so I'm still gonna finish it. This is not enough lurker. Just throwing it out there. He needs to have like 16. Overcommit. He's overcommitting hard. He needs to, like, I'm not even kidding. This is the best way to describe it. Push. If you're going Lurker Hydra, you need to play that shit like Terran plays Bio. If you guys have ever played against a Terran who goes Marine, Tank, Medevac, okay? I'm sure every Zerg out there can relate to me when I say this. If you ever play against a Terran player who is unsieged and he walks, like, let's say this is your base and you see a Terran player walking right here and you were like, hey, you're on my fucking creep. I see you. And he's like, the second you're like running at him with Ling Bane, he's like, time to siege my tanks. And all of his Marines are like in a clump already. And then he stim packs and he's like, oh fuck. You're like, wow, that was such an easy fight. That's so easy. His army just either loaded in medevacs and sacrificed whatever was left, or it all died. Easy. That was so nice. Or you play against a Terran that's like, a tank is here, a tank is here, a tank is there, a tank is here, a tank is here. His bio is already pre-spread and he only has like 15 Marines or like 10 Marines pushing forward and killing your drones and killing your hatchery. And you're like, fuck, every time I move forward, I get picked apart by tanks. And then every time I back up, he just chases me and kills more of my shit with a little bit of Marines. And then I push forward and he kills my fucking units with tanks again. And he just bleeds you out the whole time. And you're like, wow, this is so difficult. It's like a totally different, like, it's the same units, but it's such a different way to use them that makes them either really suck or really, really, really strong. And if you go Lurker Hydra, you literally have to play that shit like a fucking Terran plays tank Marine. Which means that I would love to see more lurkers. And I would love to see like a lurker here, 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 a lurker there, a lurker here. And the lurkers are actually killing the base. And your hydras are spread out around your lurkers. And whenever he charges you, you're like, all right, come at me, bro. I'm already ready for you. And I'm going to take a really good fight now. Rather than having it all clumped and just like die. And also, you know, you're not really relying on the hydras to kill everything. It's just to bait shit into fighting you. But look at the hydras. Oh my god, it keeps going too fast. Watch the hydras die. He's relying too much on the hydras and they all die. The second he committed down here, that was a mistake. Like, not only does he not have enough lurkers, because this is not ever going to really kill the ultras before the hydras die, but watch the hydras pathing. Imagine if a lurker was right here, and a lot more lurkers were around it, and this lurker was just poking the hatchery, or poking the spines. Because if you guys didn't know this, a lurker has more range than a spine crawler. You can siege it. And then these hydras were getting picked apart. And the second these units were here, we can see it, or he can see it with his vision. The second he sees it, he should immediately run this way, not this way. But he runs down. He commits into it. He got scared. Like, you know why he did it too. He got scared because he was like, oh god, I'm going to get surrounded. But the problem is that here's a mindset thing for you. He wanted to run down because the ultras right here, right now, he sees it, but he didn't see it. Like, his units can see it, but he physically didn't see it, which is why he stayed here. He was probably looking at something else for a split second, or his screen was too far low, or some shit. He just wasn't paying attention. He's probably staring at the spine crawler for a second, and then suddenly he's like, oh fuck, ultras. The feeling of going... The feeling he has right now is, once again, panic. It's panic. It's like, oh fuck, my army's gonna get cleaved and I'm gonna die. It's not a good feeling to have, and the reason why it's happening is because he's using 100% of his hydras to poke, and what he's doing right now is he's forcing a fight to happen, but he's using his entire army to do it. If he only used like a fraction of his army to do it, you would get the same result, but you would get a better fight. Like, you're going to force a fight to happen either way. It's going to happen. But he's compromising his army before the fight starts rather than not doing that. Imagine if like 2/3 of these hydras were back here and spread out already, and only like 6 hydras were here, and they were standing right here poking some shit. With what he currently has, it would be a better fight. Or again, the bigger thing is, what if he's against ultras and he has, like, instead of having 3 lurkers, he has now, like, let's say with his current army he has 12, and you take away 9 of these hydras. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He'd have 12 hydras and 12 lurkers. He could actually have lurker, all kind of just like staggered around, and then he could have like 2 lurkers, like maybe like one here and one here, poking the drones and the spines, and then he could uproot like lurkers in the back and put them forward when the spine dies, and now suddenly the hatchery's getting hit, and this Zerg player's like, I'm getting pressured, and we have 12 hydras where it's like 6 hydras here and like 6 hydras here, and the ultras come in and they all fucking die. Like, it's the same amount of units, but you just get a way better trade. But instead, there was this pressured feeling where he overcommitted a little too long. He stayed just a second too long, and now ultras are getting they're almost going to surround him, and he's getting panicked. He's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose my units. So he says to himself, I want to run where it's safer, which is somewhere where like it's gonna be more of a choke point to stop the ultras from hitting me, and I'm gonna run directly opposite of where the ultras currently are. I'm gonna run this way. But what happens is he puts himself in a little tiny like trap, basically, because there's no exit here. He's stuck now. This is the exit. This is the only way he gets out, is right here. Once he commits this way, his hydras can't leave. This is no longer leavable. And that also means he leaves the safety of lurker. And losing units like that is really hard to replace. The biggest problem here of all is that there's not enough lurkers in every fight. There's always like 2 to 3, and he doesn't have a lot of money, which is to be fair. There's been a fuckload of units dead this game, and we've already gone over a lot of reasons why this has kind of happened, why units keep dying, but he doesn't really have the availability in his bank to actually make enough lurkers anymore, anyways, which is also probably another reason why there's not enough lurkers going here. But there's so many things that culminated, so many mistakes that have happened throughout this game that have made it to the point to where he's not able to have a proper situation. And down here, even though he didn't have enough lurkers to fight here, I would say best case scenario would be, oh, my opponent's going ultras. Instead of initiating a fight down here with three lurkers and a bunch of hydras, just be patient and wait, and just keep making lurker, and wait until you have like 12 lurkers or 15 or 16 lurkers, and then push. And if your opponent pushes you before that, what you could do is you could have lurkers spread amongst your bases and make spore crawlers. Even though he's not making mutas anymore, he still could. Plus, what does this guy have with his ultras? He's got fucking overseers. And you know what that means? He's got no other air units besides the overseer. So if he pushes into a base that has like 5 fucking spores and like 6 lurkers, these overseers are gonna die really fast. And then it's like, it'd be like the equivalent of a Protoss player killing your overseer and having like 10 fucking DTs smashing your fucking army, and you're like, oh god, I can't detect his units anymore because all my overseers are dead. Like, Spore Crawler Lurker is like an ultimate counter defensively against this. This cannot break Spore Crawler Lurker. It's fucking impossible. It is. It's impossible. If you have a good spread of Spore Lurker, it trades infinitely better than Ultralisk Overseer. Oh my god, he danced. What a dick. Alright. KaiKai, I hope you watch this, and I hope you learn a lot from this, and then I hope you find this guy on ladder, and then I want you to dance all over his grave. When you know you've won the game, I want you to dance the shit out of your units. I want you to literally ask him, you want to have a dance battle? You want to have a dance off? Oh wait, you can't because you're fucking dead. You died because I am stronger than I was before. I like how he's dancing. That's so dumb. But yeah. That's the end of it, guys. If you liked it, KaiKai, thank you very much for the 25, by the way. This is supposed to be a free replay analysis. I did go kind of overboard on the amount of time. I always go overboard on this shit. I always get so involved, and I talk about so much stuff. But KaiKai, thank you for the 25. Much love, dude. And anyone, KaiKai and everyone else included that watches this, I hope it helps you understand more about what's going on and how to kind of initiate things and how to play the game in a more effective way. And yeah, man, just thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next one. ViBE out. Later, everybody. Bye. See ya.